Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Puracharya Sutasara Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Puracharya Sutasara Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radharadhanath ki jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gau Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we're doing Canto 4, Chapter 4, Text 24. 23, sorry. Chapter 24, Text 43. Sorry about that. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shakti Raya Sametaya Midhusa Hanka Kritatmane Cheta Akuti Rupaya Namo Vacho Vibhutaya Shakti Traya Semataya Shakti Traya Semataya Midhu Se Ahankar Kritmane Midhu Se Ahankrit Tadatmane Midhu Se Ahankrit Tatmane Cheta Akuti Rupaya Namo Vacho Vibhutaya Shakti Traye Sametaye Madhu Se Ahankritatmane Cheta Akuti Rupataya Rupaya sorry. Cheta Akuti Rupaya Namo Vacho Vibhutaya. See? Shakti Traya Sametaya Midhu Se Ahankritatmane Cheta Akuti Rupaya Namo Vacho Vibhutaye Shakti Traya Sametaya Midhu Se Ahankritatmane Cheta Akuti Rupaya Namo Vacho Vibhutaye. Chetakruti Rupaya Namo Vacha Vivite. So the word for word, Shakti Traya, three kinds of energies. Sametaya, unto the reservoir. Madhuse, unto Rudra. Ahankrit Atmane, the source of egoism. Cheta, knowledge. Akuti, eagerness to work. Rupaye, unto the form of. Namaha, my obeisances. Vacha, unto the sound. Vibhutaye, unto the different types of opulences. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear Lord, you are the supreme controller of the worker, senses, activities, and results of the activities, karma. Therefore, you are the controller of the body, mind, and senses. You are also the supreme controller of egoism, known as Rudra. You are the source of knowledge and the activities of the Vedic injunctions. May I repeat, my dear Lord, you are the supreme controller of the worker, sense activities, and results of sense activities. Karma. Therefore, you are the controller of the body, mind, and senses. You are also the supreme controller of egoism, known as Rudra. You are the source of knowledge and the activities of the Vedic injunctions. Purport. Everyone acts under the dictation of the ego. Therefore, Lord Shiva is trying to purify false egoism through the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Lord Shiva, or Rudra, is himself the controller of egoism, he indirectly wants to be purified by the mercy of the Lord so that his real egoism can be awakened. Of course, Lord Rudra is always spiritually awake, but for our benefit, he is praying in this way. For the impersonalist, pure egoism is aham brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. But in its actual position, the spirit soul has devotional activities to perform. Therefore, Lord Shiva prays to be engaged both in the mind and in action in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord according to the direction of the Vedas. This is a process for purifying the false egoism. Cheta means knowledge. Without perfect knowledge, one cannot act perfectly. The real source of knowledge is vacha, or sound vibration, given by Vedic injunctions. Here the word vacha, or vibration, means the Vedic instructions. The Vedic vibrations. The origin of creation is sound vibration, and if the sound vibration is clear and purified, perfect knowledge and perfect activities actually become manifest. This is enacted by the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus Lord Shiva is praying again and again for the purification of body, mind, and activities through the purification of knowledge and action under the pure direction of the Vedas. Lord Shiva prays to the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that his mind, senses, and words will all turn towards devotional activities only. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टां स्थापितां येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मया ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिककान्ता राधकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So, yes, so this is a very powerful purport and the verse itself, where Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that we are all basically living entities acting under false egoism. So, when one is under false egoism, then he basically thinks that he is this body. So he also mentions about ahankara in the verse, which is false ego. And we see that when this world is, manifested or is created, the first ingredient that enters into this world, this dimension, is false egoism or false ego. And the living entities are then submerged in this false ego, and they forget the real ego. The real ego is to be part and parcel of Krishna and to serve him eternally. But because the living entity, out of his own free will and desire, he decides that, he wants to come down here to this material world and, relish things that are basically not, should I say, not conducive for his spiritual life, right? So he acts in different ways. And we find that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 2, there's a verse where Prabhupada is saying that, men who are like dogs, hogs, asses, and camels, praise those men who do not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll just dissect this verse now, and we'll just try to understand how people are acting, so mad in this material world. Basically, Prabhupada, he mentions that everyone is mad, and what are they mad after? They're mad after sense gratification. So, and that is why they're doing all sorts of, nefarious activities in order to enjoy the senses. So, this verse then goes on to say, Swavidvara Hasakarai, Samstha Purusha Pashu, right? That men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, they basically glorify those men who are who do not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we find that today's leaders are in that category where they do not glorify the Supreme Lord. And we're not going to mention names, but it's all over the news, and it's so prevalent that in every society there's leaders, and they there to make money for themselves and not to benefit the people in general. So this is Kali Yuga, and this is how things are going. Previously, in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, even Dwapara Yuga, there were pious kings, Raja Rishis, who would actually act for the benefit of the people, and it's so much so that if a person complained about anything, the king or the ruler would actually take it upon himself to to sort the problem out, or to to see that things are going correct in his kingdom. So in this way, in today's society, you can complain all you want. You can even have, like rallies and things like this to actually prove a point, but nobody is going to hear you, or it'll fall in deaf ears, or even maybe something may happen. People riot and they do so many things, just for them to be heard, right? But we find that today's leaders are not capable of leading the masses, or leading the mass of people in the right direction. Basically, they are going in the opposite direction, right? Leading them to hellish life. And so this verse then states that people act in an animalistic way. So when they act like animals, then what good can be derived from that, right? So and it all comes down. It all starts with the head of society. When the head is not right, then the whole body will dysfunction, right? If because the brain, is in the head, and the intelligence basically, comes from the brain. Actually, how one thinks like this. So if the brain is not right, then the whole body is dysfunctional, right? And the senses cannot work properly, like this. So in this way, the head of society, if you look at it on a broader prospect, that the head of society, if they're not right, then the citizens, what good is there for the citizens? They will actually behave the way the head is, dictating, right? So, but the real heads of society are the brahmanas, or the devotees of the Lord. And and also we find this, in people, they regard devotees on a very special level, right? And if a devotee has to do something wrong, then they are like, they'll blaspheme, and they'll do so many, they'll talk about it, that the devotees are doing things wrong. So in this way, we should actually set a perfect example for the general mass of people, because people look up to us as devotees, and especially temple devotees, So in this way, we should try to, although we are not pure, all of us are trying to come to the pure level, but we should, actually behave in such a way that to leave an impression on people in general, the masses. So like this. Prabhupada was saying that people are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, and and they behave in all nonsensical ways. Like a dog, a dog. Prabhupada says in the purport that a dog will go from one place to the other, and begging for scraps of food, right? Especially stray dogs. Shishi Radha Radhanath Ki Jai. So, so looking for scraps of food. And similarly, educated people who have degrees, they go from office to office looking for a job, right? But, and in this way, so this is the way society is being run nowadays. You can have the highest degree and you won't get a good paying job. So like this, Prabhupada is comparing the human beings to animals, like this. And then he takes the other animal, which is a hog. A hog eats anything and everything, right? And he says, and people today, they would eat things that are not meant for human consumption, like meat and things like that. So meat, fish, and eggs, right? That we refrain from. So and Prabhupada said that the human teeth or the jaw is made in such a way as not to eat meat, but to have grains and vegetables. So, but people will eat anything, right? And in this way, they're just degrading their lives, going down to the hellish regions, hellish planets, and they don't know any better, right? Because they will follow the norm of society, what people do in general, so that's how they will follow, and especially the leaders, right? So in this way, we see that people are, in one sense, they're not following the Vedic scriptures, and and I was seeing on the news that actually people think that we're following paganism, or like some alien type of worship, but they have no information that about the scriptures, and therefore, as book distributors, we need to go out there and give people the real knowledge, right? And maybe sometimes people may not take a book, but they will give a donation, and that is also piety, by giving a donation, so that another person who may not have money and would want the book, then you can give that book to that person. So in this way, they will also reap the benefit of book distribution, right? So this is actually very important for the devotees to actually consider this, to go out there and to preach. And, we cannot, Prabhupada said, what will our 2-minute preaching do? But if you give them a book, and then, Prabhupada is basically doing everything. Although he's not here, but he's still doing everything through his books. So therefore, we need to help him and go out there and distribute these books, right? So then Prabhupada goes on to say that the other animal who he's talking about is the camel. The camel, it will eat anything, right? Especially like thorny twigs, and the thorns of the of the tree will actually go, and when he's chewing it, it'll cut his tongue, and in this way the blood will ooze from there, and the blood mixed with the saliva will create a very nice taste for the camel. And then Prabhupada says it's similar to human beings. We work so hard during the day, and at night we engage in sense gratification. And that sense gratification is actually draining our bloods. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, right? And in this way, we are like camels, because a camel, it eats the thorny twigs, and it basically drinks its own blood, basically. So like this, he says, illicit sex life, is like that. One is actually draining his blood. So then the next animal is the ass that Prabhupada talks about, and he says that the ass, it'll work so hard for the washerman, for some little morsel of grass, but because it's so stupid, it does not know that it can find grass anyway, and it can just at its own leisure can have the grass, right? But it'll work so hard carrying loads on its back for day and night, just for a morsel of grass. So, and Prabhupada says that yes, the human beings also, they will work so hard, keep 2 or 3 jobs, But, so, I mean, this is what, society has reduced us to, right? The most important thing is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when one surrenders unto the Lord, then one need not work so hard day and night for, little scraps like this. So obviously, all people should work, in order to maintain themselves. They have to have some job or do something to maintain themselves. But a devotee's mentality is different. The devotee, he he works, and he knows that his work is also devotional service, in that whatever fruits he accumulates from that work is used in this Lord's service. So in that way, the devotee is purified, right? But we're talking about the masses of people who struggle so hard for existence and, work so hard day and night, just for, Prabhupada said, how much can one eat? Just 2 chapatis, the highest 4, and he works so hard day and night, like this. So in this way, this verse is actually demonstrating here the false ego of people, and how, they are so ignorant of the Vedic scriptures, or ignorant of the fact that we are not this body. It all boils down to this point, is that we are not this body. And if one understands that, then he will act on the spiritual level in order to transcend these modes of material nature, and basically try to make his life perfect, right? But because people are under this false ego, then they're acting in all different ways. Prabhupada actually mentions in one of his books that people act like they are haunted by a ghost, right? When you're haunted by a ghost, then you act in all different ways. So similarly, people in this world, Prabhupada says, they act like they're haunted by ghosts, because they do not know their true nature, right? They do not know their true nature. True nature is to be part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yes, there's many religions that try to propagate this message, right? Of, that we are meant to be worshipping God. But also, Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam, he says that religion which does not bring you to the point of loving God, or to understand your relationship with Him, then what's the use of that? Because they are still acting on the bodily platform, like, my dear Lord, please give me this and please give me that, right? So that's still on the bodily platform. This may be a very high subject matter, right? That we should not ask anything from the Lord, but to serve Him. But this is the point that we are meant to come to. We may not be on that level as yet, but that's the point we need to come to, right? To understand that, we do not ask anything from Krishna, because Krishna should not be our order supplier. We should love Him. We should serve Him with love and devotion. And whatever we have in our possession, we should give to Krishna. Sometimes we may not have anything. We do not work, we do not have anything in our possession, but we can give our minds to Krishna, we can give our words to Krishna, we can give our senses to Krishna, right? The whole body to Krishna, in this, by engaging in devotional service. So, like Ambarish Maharaj, he used his eyes to see the beautiful forms of the Lord. He used his hands to cleanse the temple of the Lord. And like this, devotees are engaged in so many services that, they're using their hands, their whole bodies for the service of the Lord, like this. And, he used his mouth to taste the Krishna Prasadam, like this, So we should learn from these great saints how to actually perform devotional service. And this method that Srila Prabhupada has given us is, it has everything within it, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Using these 9 processes of devotional service, then we can use our whole body in the service of the Lord, right? So Shravanam means hearing the messages of Krishna, right? Kirtanam, speaking or chanting the holy names, like this. So when we speak also, our speech should be pleasant, and we should, try to preach with our mouths, right? Use our mouths to preach. Although it's used for taking prasadam, as well, but yes, to preach. And in this way, we can purify the different senses of our bodies, right? So, so devotees are engaged like this. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Try to remember Krishna all the time. And how do we remember Krishna all the time? Obviously, the mind is going here and there, all over the universe. But just by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we're hearing and we're also remembering Krishna like this. So, hearing and chanting will bring you to the stage of remembrance. So, when we remember Krishna like this, and then we get, like Prahlad Maharaj, he always remembered the Lord, right? And he was like put in so many difficult situations, and he always remembered the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord appeared to him, right? Nishingadev, he appeared to him to save him, right? So in his times of distress. So yes, we can also do that. In our times of distress, we can call out to the Lord, right? And in this way, He will actually come and help us personally, right? So there is one pastime, or should I say, an incident that I'd like to relay. So there was a devotee that was chanting in her yard, and then somebody came to attack and rob and steal like that from her, right? And luckily she had the door closed, so he couldn't get into the house, but she was chanting in her yard, and then this person came, and he like tried to try to get in, and in doing so he handled her, and he was trying to tear her clothes apart like this, and she was screaming, and she was calling for Krishna, and she was like running to the front of the yard, because more people would notice, and in this way she was calling for Krishna, and Krishna did help in that. The neighbors came out and they saw her, and then they called the police like this, and this person ran away. So in this way, when we are in difficulty, we should try and call out for the Lord in this way, and Krishna does appear, or he makes others aware of your situation, and he helps in that way. So yes, there's so many incidents as well that we can narrate about devotees, in our times, that how Krishna appeared and he saved them like this. Also personally, in my life, Krishna, he did appear so many times, in order to actually to remove me from difficult situations like this. So when we have firm faith in the Lord, and we understand that everything is ordained by Krishna, then we have nothing to fear about, because we know that Krishna is in control of everything. And yes, devotees know this, sometimes, but when they are placed in difficulties, then they say, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to go through all of this? But yes, the Lord, He puts difficulties in our way so that, we can understand that, everything is coming from Him, and we should not be bewildered by the situations that we are placed in presently. Right? We may go through so many difficult adversities in our lives, but with firm faith, we must still hold on to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. And in this way, we'll be able to cross over this ocean of material existence. Right? So these are tests that Krishna puts to us, right? And we must be able to cross these tests now and then. We must be able to, all the while holding on to the Lord's lotus feet, right? When we hold on to the Lord's lotus feet firmly and, engage in devotional service, even though we may be going through so many distressing situations in our life. And then Krishna, when he sees that, yes, although you're going through all of this, but you still are so much devoted to him, then he basically takes you out of that situation, and your faith grows, and you become so much more inclined towards Krishna, and you develop this love, a different type of love, towards the Supreme Personality of God. And this love keeps growing and growing because you understand, yes, Krishna, he has my back. He's always there for me. He's always present, right? So, people in general in the material world, they're working so hard, and they have no time for spiritual life. Even when we go on books, people say, "Don't bother me. I don't have time for this," So they have time for other things, and that is to enjoy their senses, and how to enjoy their senses. That is what they're engaged in. So we should have compassion on them and try to bring them to the level of, at least taking one of Srila Prabhupada's books, or, hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if we are on Harinam, hearing the holy names of the Lord. This will actually purify them. So it may not take root immediately. You may not see results immediately. But yes, once the seed is planted within the heart, in time they will be able to take up to Krishna consciousness. So we should not despair, because the Lord always, he knows our intentions, and he knows that we want to please him by doing this service, and in time that person will become a devotee. So we should not wait for results, and many people are like this, or many devotees are like this. When they preach, they want results, and they will preach to the person, like until they blue in the face, basically. But this is not the method that we should actually preach, right? We should make friends with those that we want to preach to, and in this way, when they become our friends, then we're able to tell them more little by little and bring them to the lotus feet of the Lord. So we should not wait for results. We should actually plant the seed in the heart, and it'll fructify in time, like this. So I'll stop here. And if anyone has anything to say, you're most welcome to. Yes, Madhurya.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. And I was just thinking, you're telling the story about that woman who was being attacked and, calling out for Krishna. But then I was also just thinking, my Guru Maharaj was telling the story of many years ago, in South Africa, a devotee was actually murdered in their house, while they were chanting japa. And they went to their spiritual master and they were just asking, how could Krishna let this happen? She was chanting her japa in her house and she was just murdered, and then, the spiritual master was just saying to all of them, Krishna won't always protect the body, but he will always protect the soul. And I think that's always something important to remember, because we might lose faith when you call out for Krishna and then he's not protecting us in the physical sense, And people might then lose faith because they think, oh, he protected so-and-so, but not me. But, he always will protect the soul. Like that person died, but chanting japa. So that obviously will mean something.
What a glorious death.
Yeah. So I think that's also something we should always try to remember, not think Krishna's neglecting us if he's not protecting, the body, for example. I just wanted to share that.
Yes, and people always ask me, why, when I was preaching in the African areas, you go alone, and, how this is so dangerous, and especially in South Africa, and at night, and you're a female, and how do you do this? And yes, so one should be fearless when they are preaching, right? Because anything can happen to the body, but one has to be always thinking of the Lord in this way, and then and then his death is glorious. So what fear is there, right? One should not be fearful of death. Yes, and yes, I remember also many years ago, Mataji left her body in Pitamarisburg, and she was Bhakti Charu Swami's disciple. Yeah, same incident you're talking about. Yeah, and she was murdered. Yeah, and then Bhakti Charu Swami made, he made a claim that actually. Same as the same incident you related. Yes, it's the soul that's more important, because the person is, was thinking of Krishna at the time of death. And even if the person wasn't thinking of Krishna at the time of death, the devotee wasn't thinking of Krishna at the time of death, but the Lord would have forced himself into her mind in order for her to think of him. So because she's always engaged in devotional service like this, so in this way, and maybe she wasn't engaged in devotional service, so she's not, so inclined. I know many incidents where Srila Prabhupada's disciples have left Krishna consciousness altogether, and at their time of death, they saw Srila Prabhupada because they helped him so much in his preaching mission. So so they maybe not engaged in devotional service, maybe gone back to Maya, but because they were performing devotional service, at the time of death, Prabhupada came, and they called out Prabhupada before they left their body. So how glorious is that, But for a non-devotee, what are the chances, What are the chances? He'll just go to the hellish regions and suffer there, right? Because he's breaking all the principles, and and that is sinful life. So he's going to go to the hellish regions, right? There's no doubt about that. And so basically, there's different types of hell for different types of sins. And one has to actually endure all that suffering in the hellish regions. So yes, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are in one sense better, or we have been saved by Srila Prabhupada's grace, and in this way, we can be assured that at the time of death, Prabhupada will come, or the Vishnu Dutas will come and take us back to Godhead. So thank you very much. Anyone else like to say any incidents? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you were speaking about the we should turn to people in terms of leadership, and what Lord Shiva is saying here is we should turn to people who glorify the Supreme Person. And you were speaking about how corrupt politicians and things can be. So should devotees, because there's a lot of dupliciousness and stuff involved in politics, should devotees get involved in politics and in those kinds of leadership positions, and to what extent?
Yes, so Srila Prabhupada said yes, we can take up leadership positions in politics, and there are devotees who are chanting Hare Krishna and who are, in leadership positions, and in this way we try to influence them about spiritual life, in this regard. Not take the association, because they have all these bad qualities, like you mentioned, dupliciousness. So we should actually not take their association, but give them our association, like this. So how much of interaction we have with them should be, our interaction with them should be limited, in this regard. So we can take up leadership position in politics, and like this, and try to influence the mass of people to come to Krishna, like that. Yeah. So, Hare Krishna. Yes, Isaiah.
Hare Krishna. All right. Yeah. At the time of death, how long does it take for a person to assume another body or another destination? Do you know, I was at a program and Amataji asked this question, and the answer was not crisp enough, I thought. Is there like a specific amount of time?
Yeah, for devotees, it's like almost immediately. Yeah, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, in the case of Narad Muni, he was a son of a maidservant, and then some Bhaktivedantas came to his home, devotees came to his home, and they preached, and he became a devotee. And in that lifetime, I'm talking about when he was on the earth, and then he had this urge to go with them, but obviously he was with his mom. Then his mom was bitten by a snake, and she left her body, and he was only 5 years old. And then he went in search for them, and in that lifetime, when he engaged in devotional service, and when it was time for him to leave, it is described that it was like in an instant. When he left, it was like a lightning flash. So from that I'm speaking on the authority of that pastime, that for devotees it's like almost immediately. So from a maidservant's son, he became Narad Muni, like that. He assumed his form as Narad Muni. So yeah, for devotees, it's like that. It's almost instantly. But for other people, I'm not sure. It could take longer, because if they engage in sinful activities, then they will have to go to the hellish planets and pass their time there, and for some time before they take another body, like this. So they perform the 16 days and 15 days or whatever, 10 days, whatever, and that this is the soul going through now. It's going to its next destination, and may even go to hell. And when they do these, it's there. When they do these pindas during these times, then they're actually helping the soul to cross over, because they remember when the soul is leaving, it has to go through this Viraj river, and this Viraj river is actually filled with blood and pus and all of this, and the soul has to go through all of that. But when one does a pindadan, where they do these ceremonies, then the soul will actually be carried across very easily. So we should understand this, that so for a materialistic person, it's different from a devotee. The devotee's destination is glorious, whereas a materialist, they will have to go through so much of hellish conditions like this. And so we are talking about this Viraj river, which is full of all these obnoxious things. And imagine, a sinful person going through all of this, and he has to swim in this ocean of blood and pus and urine and all of this hair and all. It's totally gross, right? So when one does these the ceremonies on different days, but also remember that if the person in today's society, the way people do things, if the person liked a certain thing, they would offer that, like alcohol, and then they're putting the person more into a degraded condition. Instead of helping the person, on his onward journey to his next body, they're, pushing him more into the hellish regions, like that. So so unless one has a knowledge of scripture, then it's very difficult for people to understand all of this, So therefore, devotees, we need to go out there and give them spiritual knowledge. We are like, basically, in the ancient times, the ancient days, the brahmanas would go out and preach, and they would not stay in a place for more than, Prabhupada says, milking of a cow, right? So they would go on Madhukari, bake something to eat, give spiritual knowledge, and move on like that. So yes, we too, we need, because we are Brahmin initiated, most of us, and Even if we are not Brahmin initiated, we are higher than a Brahmin, we are devotees, and devotees, they are well-wishing friends to everyone. So we should go out there and give this knowledge.
Then we went to another program, and when we got there, one of the devotees asked a girl, "How are you feeling?" And she says, "I feel lost." She lost her mom.
Okay.
What would you say, or is there anything you can say to a person that's grieving and feels lost?
Yes, you can be compassionate towards them. And, if you give them straight on, bang them up with the Krishna philosophy, they may not accept it immediately. So you should actually be compassionate and, try to gain their favor by giving them prasadam, giving them, even giving them books, giving them, different things like Mahaprasad is very, very potent, that, when one consumes it, then he is inclined to take up spiritual life. So, and also we can preach to them a little, but not too much, and sympathize with them. And when we sympathize with them, then they will be inclined to take up devotional life like this. So, I would say that.
We were chanting, and
chanting is very good.
Yeah, we were singing, and I tried to behave myself, but at some point the chanting was so powerful, I just started jumping over there. Is this inappropriate and insensitive?
No, it's not, because we should dance to the holy name like that. And even in when devotees go to funerals and we have kirtan, we dance. And and people may think that this is so out of place, but it's not, because we are glorifying the Lord. And when we glorify the Lord, we are in ecstasy, and we can't help ourselves. So in this way, it's not inappropriate. But we should also tell the grieving person that, we're just trying to glorify God and, to give Him praise. So in this way, this is how, if we have done anything that is not according to your standards, please forgive us.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.